Welcome to the Taco Cast. I'm Crystal.
I'm Will.
And you're the audience.
Welcome.
So today we're doing something a little bit different. Something crossed my Facebook feed, which I found hilarious, and we did a little bit of looking into it, and it turns out that it's true.
Yes.
Next month, a former representative, U.S. representative from California, will be sentenced for misappropriation of campaign funds. He stole over $250,000 worth of campaign funds and used them on a variety of things.
Well, him and his wife.
Including, $300-something for his rabbit?
Yep.
For an egg hunt?
Yeah.
For his pet rabbit?
A rabbit.
Yeah, and $1,302, I believe, on Steam games.
Yeah. $132 in Uber rides for his family to take an Uber from the motel to Mall of America. See, in June, July 2015, him and his Hunter's cousin, and it was getting married in Boise, Idaho. A stopover in Las Vegas, in which Hunter, among other things, spent $205.62 in campaign funds for personal items at the North Face store. But the best part is, so him and his wife Margaret were married in 1998, and we are on the actual Department of Justice DOJ's website. And the last part of all the money he spent, him and his wife pleaded guilty to $250,000 in campaign funds that they spent on everything from tuition for their kids to miscellaneous expenses. But the last part is the part that we wanted to talk about. It says similar. Hunter used more than $1,000 in campaign funds to take one of his girlfriends in 2010 on a winter ski trip to Hyatt Regency Lake Tahoe Resort and Casino. So he was married in 1998 to Margaret, and one of his girlfriends in 2010. So apparently he's had a couple of pieces of on the side.
Yeah, at least
he's had his cake and he's eaten it too. And he's done it all with your money. Thank you.
Although one has to wonder how long he and Margaret are going to stay together if he is in fact stepping out. Which I'm guessing he is, because yes, verbatim it says, similarly, Hunter used more than Similarly, Hunter used more than $1,000 in campaign funds to take one of his girlfriends on a 2010 winter ski trip. Exactly like Bill said. That was verbatim from the website. So they clearly said one of his girlfriends, meaning there's at least two.
At least two. And we're willing to bet, play some actual cold hard cash on that he probably ran under a family values platform. Not that this is surprising at all, but, it's just another, example of the misuse, and nobody keeping, him in the check, because he's been doing this all along. Another part of it here goes into Hunter overdrew his bank account more than 1,100 times in a 7-year period, totaling $37,761 in overdraft fees.
Which, let's pause there for a second. I've been a little bit free and loose with my checking account on occasion. And like we've discussed before, when Bill and I first got together, we weren't rolling in the dough. And there's times when we floated a check or two to get by, and sometimes that gamble didn't pay off.
Never does.
I wouldn't have gotten close to overdrawing my account 1,000 times before my bank just told me that I was done and shut that shit down. So the question remains, how did he get away with that?
Yeah, I know.
How did he get away with that? Why did nobody at the bank stop him? Because they would have. I mean, most people out there, you overdraw your bank account a couple of times, and the bank is on the phone asking you what's going on.
It goes on to say that his credit cards were frequently maxed to the limit, and 5-figure balances on his credit cards, and in addition to $24,600 in finance charges, interest, and other fees related to late over limit fees and returned payment fees. So he was even bouncing checks to the credit card companies.
How awful is that? Now, to be fair, I'm going to preface what I'm about to say with the full caveat that I am not well versed in the nuances of credit. A lot of it doesn't make sense to me. How you buy a house and all of a sudden, your credit score goes down. But don't worry, in a year it's going to go up even farther than it was beforehand because you bought a house. That doesn't make sense to me. If somebody's willing to help me buy a house, why is that a detriment? I don't understand. But...
Well, credit's not fair. I mean, the entire thing is stacked against you.
Yeah. We had a credit card that we paid off and kept paid off. I think it was 6 months. We'd paid it off completely. And then the plan was, okay, now we have all of our credit cards paid off. Awesome for us. We are going to do our expenses on this one because it's one of those rewards cards, right? So you use it for your expenses and then you pay it off and then, you get the rewards, right? We're going to use the rewards card for our expenses, and this one we're going to keep.
Dave Ramsey would never agree with what we did. But go ahead.
This one is going to be our emergency credit card, right? So we'd had it paid it off for 6 months when I get a notice from the credit card company that because we haven't used our credit card, they're taking our balance down, which floored me again because I was like, wait.
Our limit.
They took our limit down, not our balance. They took our limit down. And I'm like, so we paid it off, we're not using it, which one would think is a good thing, right? We're being responsible. So now you're bringing the limit down? I don't understand that at all. So, like I said, I don't understand the nuances of credit. A lot of it seems like complete bullshit to me. $24,000, $24,600 in finance charges. How was his credit card not shut down? Why did a representative from freaking Visa not show up to his house, pluck that sucker out of his wallet, and cut it up in front of him? How did this happen?
Maximum penalty that Mr. Duncan is looking at, it says he's looking at around 5 years, but they already know he's going to serve less than 1.
Well, of course. He just stole $250,000 in campaign funds. It's not like he smoked a joint.
If you stole $250,000, how much time do you think you would get in prison? If you stole let's say $2,400 or $24,000, let alone $250,000 from your employer, I can guarantee my butt would be in jail for a long time. He's going to be out in less than a year, for what his total crime is.
And I think what bothers me the most about this is that these are campaign funds.
Yeah.
Which isn't just, theft is bad, right? But this is people who believed in him.
Right.
Who wanted to help him succeed and gave him money for a specific purpose, right? We believe in you, right? So he betrayed people who supported him. That just feels awful. Why would you do that to someone?
No, and he's been doing it. Like I said, he's a 7-term representative. 7 times he has been reelected, and he's been doing it the entire time that he was in public office. It wasn't like just like the last couple of years he ran into some financial problems. He's been doing it all along. The entire time that he has been in public office, there had to be red flags. Somebody had to say, an oversight committee, something you would think would say, you know what, man, come on, Duncan, man, you can't do this. You can't take the public's money and spend it on your girlfriends that you have on the side. What about your wife? We have all these charges for you spending money on her. What about poor Margaret?
Yeah.
And now he's got 3 kids?
Okay, I'm gonna say, he named his rabbit Egbert, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
So he gets a couple points back for that. But and I'm not gonna lie, when we first read through the article and I read Egbert, I didn't see that it was with 2 G's. It was just the one, and I thought he'd named his kid Egbert, and I was like, oh, that's a name that kind of went into obscurity. But okay. Um, yeah. I'm still a little. He paid for a rabbit. He bought a plane ticket for his rabbit, by the way. A plane ticket. Not, you know, he didn't have like a seat. The rabbit had a plane ticket, which I'm not gonna lie. If I was taking my rabbit, well, okay, I don't have a rabbit. If I was taking my cat, no, that's a bad example. My cat's an asshole. He can go sit in the back. My dog, the good one. If I was taking my dog somewhere, I'd get her a seat if I had the money, but I wouldn't steal somebody else's money to do it.
So, one family vacation, he ran up a $600 minibar bill, and then he took his family out for breakfast and spent $200 on family breakfast.
Where are these people eating?
Kids room service for the kids.
Maybe
drinks at the pool, gift shop purchases, despite falsely telling the campaign treasurer that the various charges were related to a 2015 Italian vacation that he was he's like, you know what? I didn't go to Caesar's Palace and run up, this massive bill on the public's money. What I did was I took a family vacation with all my kids to Italy. The campaign treasurer had to in 2015 go. That's still illegal.
I'm wondering
you can't do that.
I'm wondering if that's how he got caught. See, I don't know how this played out, but in my head, he's just running around being a massive d-bag. And by the way, I used just the initial, so you can fill it in with whatever you want. Just use that D word. There's a variety, your preference. Make that insult your own.
He called it truly our best family vacation so far. Spending your money on a family vacation. He said, like that saying, if travel was free, you'd never see me again.
But
how
only travel's free for him. I in my head, I'm picturing this going down, and there's got to be at least a couple of people who are like, Duncan, I don't think so. I feel a little fishy to me. And I'm guessing that's probably why he got caught. I'm guessing because clearly there wasn't oversight from his bank, from his credit card.
The treasurer of the Republican Party, who knew as of 2005, in 2005 he knew that Duncan was misappropriating funds. This is according to a statement on the United States Department of Justice's website. In 2005, the treasurer of the Republican Party knew that Duncan was misappropriating funds and never stopped him.
He might not have stopped him, but
he never turned him in for any violations.
Well, I was going to say, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, and maybe he was working on the side to get him caught. You know what I mean?
And it took 15 years?
Yeah, you know how stuff takes a bit.
I know the government's slow, but 15 years?
They're like, well, no, hold up. He did just buy stuff for his...
I'm sure that he probably used the money to, grease the wheel.
Oh, I'm sure there were some wheels greased.
Yeah,
and the guy's Steam library has got to be beautiful.
Well, he also had a slush fund. He had taken money out of the actual campaign fund and had it as a slush fund. A personal slush fund.
It strikes me as worse because it's a betrayal. That's what's getting me. It's like any random business that's out there, I figure they're expecting they're going to have an asshole in their facility. They're keeping an eye on it. They're going to be disappointed, and like I said, you shouldn't steal from people regardless, but it just feels worse to add that element of personal betrayal that people trusted you.
According to the FBI investigation, resulted in Duncan Hunter pleading guilty to conspiracy with his wife to convert hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign funds to personal use. Personal use. Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, look at that. They used some of those stolen to go to a racetrack. We talked about this. That just makes it...
Well,
he watches racing.
It lists how much money he spent on gambling at Caesar's Palace as well. He played blackjack for 2 hours, and he lost badly. Not surprising there. But I think there were definitely people who knew what he was doing. But I think that it was kind of like he's very electable. Nobody knows about this. Let's just keep it going.
You think so? You think they kept him on regardless just because he's electable? That would be
Makes sense to me. I mean, the Republican Party doesn't want to give up that seat to a Democrat or an independent, and that way he can keep on towing the line. And if they knew about that, they probably had control over him and what he was doing. So they said, okay, you're going to toe the party line. You're going to vote the way that we want.
Ah, so you think they knew about it and they kept him in there on purpose because then they could manipulate his votes.
Well, and 7 times he was reelected. I mean, they knew about the inappropriation of funds going back to his very first time that he was elected as a representative.
I'm not typically one for conspiracy theories, but that does make sense, especially if you've got a contested seat.
It says here, this was a deliberate year-long violation of the law. Congressman Hunter used the power of his position to fund a lifestyle out of his reach, unwillingly financed by those who put him there.
I'm wondering, though, if what happened was... So they talked about his apparently complete inability to manage his finances at all. And I'm wondering if what happened was he got into some financial trouble, siphoned off a little bit of money, then realized he didn't get caught, siphoned off a little bit more money. That's when it started to get bad.
So it's the kid with his hand in the cookie jar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I take one cookie. Nobody caught me taking the one cookie. I'll take a couple more cookies.
Mm-hmm. And then he takes the whole fucking cookie jar, and then somebody's like, dude, there's no cookies? And there was a bunch of cookies.
I got a mental picture of her son taking the cookie jar and running through the house with it.
Dude, last week, he gets all mad because I tell him he can't have a fruit snack while he's eating breakfast, right? So he's already mad at me. So then he goes and he takes my Nintendo Switch, right? And he's playing it at the breakfast table, which
You shouldn't be playing at the table.
You shouldn't be playing at the table, but I'm not terrible at enforcing that because we all are. I'm answering work emails while I'm eating. I got the phone in one hand,
Not me.
answering a work email with one. I'm bad about it. And so if I'm setting a bad example for my kid, I can't exactly be like, no, son, don't, I'm not going to be a giant hypocrite like that. But he's not supposed to be playing my Switch, and he knows it. So he's trying to hide it, right? But not only is he doing this thing, under the tape, I can hear it. I'm right next to him. I can hear it. So I tell him, I'm like, buddy, you're not supposed to be playing Mama's Switch. He looks at me. He's already mad at me because I told him he couldn't have any fruit snacks before breakfast. Grabs an entire fistful of sausages and then just runs out. Just angrily eating sausages in the living room because I told him he couldn't play the Switch. And because that is what 3-year-olds do.
Well, your 3-year-old does. He's got you twisted around his little finger.
It's because he's adorable.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, that kind of, our son definitely would take all of the cookies and then be surprised that we noticed that all of the cookies were gone.
No, he'd take not only all the cookies, he'd take the cookie jar.
He probably would too.
He'd be sitting over, in his little, he's got one of these tent things, play tent in the living room. It pops up. It's really cool. But he'd be inside there with it. Oh, you can bet he'd just be mowing through the cookies. Because, I don't know. It's probably, that could have been it. It was something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But I really do think that they knew about it and they used it. They used it against him to keep him, voting the way that they wanted him to vote and vote along party lines or vote, push certain agendas.
Yes, in today's political climate, regardless of the party that you belong to, I don't think you really have to have a whole lot over someone to make them pretty much everything is partisan these days.
It has nothing to do with who he is, what political party. The only reason why we're pointing out that he is a Republican, this could have happened easily with a Democrat as well. So, we're not, saying one party is, better than the other. And when it comes right down to it, neither party really has your interest at heart.
No.
They're there to push their agenda and get their, work done that they want for themselves. And a lot of politics, it's they line their pockets throughout. I mean, how do you go to, become a state representative and make $250,000 a year, and then retire after 7 terms like this guy? He's probably a millionaire off of his $200,000 salary, which he was
I
spending.
was gonna say
like
not
there was no
anymore, because
tomorrow.
apparently dude doesn't know how to manage his fucking
Well,
money.
he was a representative. Even though he's been found guilty of this, he will get free health care for life, even with a conviction. Pete Jonovich or whatever, the guy who tried to sell his Senate seat,
Oh, that asshole.
and that Trump just pardoned. He tried to sell his Senate seat, and it was very clear about it, and he admitted to it, that he was trying to sell his actual seat. But he has free health care for life. We have to, if we don't have health insurance, we have to pay a fine. He gets free health care for life, and he's a convicted felon. So, well, now he's been pardoned, though. So I guess he's not. Is he a felon anymore? I don't know. I don't know how that part works. I mean, those senators.
I think if you've been pardoned, one would think, regardless of how I feel about the pardoning, that if you're pardoned for a felony, it should be struck off your record, because if you've been pardoned, keeping it on your record, then there's still detriment.
But are you innocent then if you're pardoned?
Oh, let's be 100% honest.
We know we know he's
innocent.
guilty, but I mean, in that aspect, I mean,
Well,
he
that's
admitted to the actual crime.
That's a good point. So does a pardon is just a discharge of
The conviction.
Yeah, it's not. Does the pardon weigh in on the? Well, no, because he already pled guilty. So you would think that a pardon wouldn't be.
Well, we didn't plead guilty. He was found guilty,
Oh.
and so is this guy.
Well, that guy pled
Hunter,
guilty.
Hunter was found. Him and his wife were found, guilty.
No, he pled guilty.
Oh, he pled guilty.
Yeah.
Oh well. Sorry for him, and his wife.
I'm not sorry for him at all. I think that's what you get. And I don't know.
Well, I feel sorry for his wife. I mean, he obviously had other women on the side.
How much do you want to bet that that's actually why he got caught? Because
You
his
think one
wife
of them
found
could
out
have
about
been?
the side chicks. Yeah.
That could have been it. Yeah, I'm sure that probably played into it, or one of those investigative journalists out there, who, digs up dirt, on the political spectrum, turned him in. So, either way, the larger picture of the entire thing, though, is this is what's happening in our political system today. We have crooked people from the bottom all the way up. I mean, I've read stories about people on the school board, and city councils who were they were taking in money, pay to play kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And to give bids to contractors, or people who wanted to buy a property for pennies on the dollar, and then a little bit of money just got left in an envelope for them. And it was very clear, but it happens all the time. It happens at the school board and city council, all the way up to, well, I don't know if the president's ever done that, but could have. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some president out there that has taken money.
I'm fairly certain that the current president just got found guilty of misappropriating funds from a charity.
It did?
Yeah.
I thought that he was exonerated.
Oh wait, maybe that was his son. No, pretty sure it's the president.
But they never got done with the.
That was the impeachment.
Oh,
That was just a dog and pony show put together to distract
people.
people.
That was a joke. We knew that was never going to happen. I mean, if you don't know, if you don't have the ability to use the internet to actually search the entire thing, That was never going to happen. We already knew that, though.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected
I mean,
that to come to fruition.
It did make the Democratic Party look like a bunch of buffoons, but I'm sure that they knew that going into it. All right, so question time. Question time. All right, first question. Do you take family vacations?
No. We have dogs. Somebody always has to stay home to take care of the dogs.
We take vacations, but we never go as a family anywhere. Or at least very rarely.
I think maybe once.
Well, no, we've taken, like, we went to Seattle to visit Aaron, and we had our nephew Vico watch our dogs, so that happened.
Yeah, but that was once.
All right, next question. When you get upset, do you meditate?
No.
Nope, for me as well.
My thoughts are like a bag of angry squirrels. It's an accurate description.
Okay. Oh, next one is, does Will ever pick the topics? No. Oh, I don't pick the topics. But we're going to change that, though.
We're not.
Next question is, first, thank you for answering my question the week prior. Can you put the PayPal link so I can make a donation in the video? Yes, I will put that at the end of the video. And thank you for asking. We do appreciate the support. Next question is, how tall is Crystal?
The world may never know.
I actually, that person reached out to me in a message, not only this message here, but in an email as well, because she keeps on changing the height of her chair. So she's either the same height, it looks like she's the same height as me, or she's like, a lot shorter. She is a lot shorter. Right now, are your feet touching the floor?
So the reason for that actually is I've had arthritis since I was 16, when I was in high school. And sitting for prolonged periods can actually be kind of painful for me. So I'm constantly adjusting chairs until I find a height that is comfortable.
That's kind of cool, though. I mean, you can swing your feet right now.
I am not that short. Okay, tall people suck.
All right, last and final question for this episode. Do you feel safe raising your son where you live? Yes. For the most part. I don't think there's any place that's 100% safe. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but overall, risk-wise, I think this is a pretty safe neighborhood and location where we are.
And risk profiles vary from place to place. I spent a large portion of my early years raised in a very rural environment. Very different, significantly less structured. But that doesn't mean it was safe. When you let a small band of children roam through the woods unattended, let's just say that none of us should be alive from the sheer volume of really, really stupid things that we did. So there's...
I don't know. I was I think 5 or 6 years old. Is when I back home we used to jump off a train trestle bridge into the Mississippi, and I was 5 or 6 years old, and I wasn't even that great of a swimmer at 5 or 6, but we used to do it all the time. That was the way we spent our summers, fishing and swimming in the Mississippi. And it wasn't until I was a teenager that I actually had an uncle who drowned in the same place from the same bridge that we had been jumping off of our entire lives. The undertow got him and sucked him under, and he couldn't get out. And the river level in the Mississippi wasn't any higher than it had been, and all the other times that we had jumped there. So it wasn't like it was more water rushing through. Just the risk that we took, but we never thought about it. It was just something we did. So. But we survived. I drank out of a garden hose. I'm still here.
I drank out of a garden hose.
Yeah. I rode my bicycle without a helmet.
I swam in irrigation water.
What? And you're still here?
Yeah, but I do have a third person growing out of my back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. for joining us today. I hope you have a great and safe week ahead. We will see you next week.